Magu Zian Show. Divine marijuana brings immortality. So, on this video, I will be discussing. Why is the video still going? I will be just stop. I stopped you. Stop. On this video, I will be discussing the Tao of meditation, or the art of meditation. See, I use Tao in an acronym, the art of, T-A-O. So whatever I'm talking about, we try to talk about the art of that. So most people know or have heard about, basic meditation. Sit quietly and don't think. It's like, okay, that voice in my head keep going, so how not to think? So that's like some real basic stuff, But this is Taoist alchemy. Now, meditation is, I guess, basically the highest form of practice. The funny thing is, you sit there seemingly doing nothing. But in most Tao art and sciences, meditation is active, which means a lot of Tao arts and science meditations deal with inner visualizations. So in our meditations, we might visualize, and I talked about this on another video, but you might visualize in the beginning the microcosmic orbit, which is your life force going down the front of your body, up under your body, up into the bone, the last part of your spine, the coccyx, and then up the spine, and then around the head, and that's the microcosmic orbit. If you didn't have that, you would not be alive. You would probably be dead. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about my Taoist teacher and what he taught. And I'm going to talk about the book that I wrote based on his book, but it's a little different. So, I started to say something, and then I went into something else, and now I forgot what I was about to say. So you have to be careful when you smoke this stuff. But by the time you're my age, you might start forgetting things like, what was I saying? Oh, anyways, excuse me while I get this out. Anyways, my Taoist teacher, I believe, was the first teacher, because around the same time that I started studying Tai Chi, I think Mantak Chia also came out with Taoist information and Taoist books. And he actually eventually talks about the whole system and all the different practices of Taoist arts and sciences. Now, I compare him as, say, Shaolin. He does dynamic tensions and all that to circulate the energy in the microcosmic orbit, blah, blah, blah. Now, my teacher would be more aligned with what we would call Wu Dong or Wu Tang. Wu Tang, Wu Tang, Wu Tang. You know, like the name. But anyway, so his practices are more towards just learning to relax, and he actually doesn't talk about meditation, which I'm about to talk about, and he doesn't talk about breathing and all these types of things. So, but I'm gonna get into what he actually talked about. But let me talk about him first. And here he is. And here's his book that I learned from when I went to the School of Tao in New York. Can you see that? Wait a minute. Dr. Stephen T. Chang, The Great Tao. Now, this is his book, right? This is what we had to study out of. Now, if you take this or his teachings, he would while I was saying that I started studying Mantak Chia, and he eventually put all the practices together. This book has the 8 practices that actually make up the Tao system, right? So, but instead of meditation, excuse me, it's like, it's 6 o'clock already in the morning, so I get my morning stuff. So actually, he talks about, how the Tao works in politics and government as opposed to meditation. See, he's talking about here, he might have been thinking about the days when the most peaceful days in China, because you always hear about the warring states and the war and martial arts and Kung Fu. The most peaceful time in China is when the people who were Taoists ruled China. So I think he put this part as opposed to meditation. So maybe America might become a Taoist country. Is Donald Trump a Taoist? I don't think so. But anyway, let me read a little passage. Let me read a little passage from my teacher book here. Now, Dr. Stephen T. Chang, he has, a couple of law degrees. He's a medical doctor. He's a Chinese doctor. Did I say medical degrees? Law degrees. Wait a minute. When did you find time to do? You didn't do nothing else. Law degrees and medical doctor? Doctor, not no, I studied a book or two. What did he write? Let me see. He wrote The Complete Book of Acupuncture. He wrote this book, The Great Tao, that book. Let me see, what else did he write? The Complete System of Self-Healing, Internal Exercises. What else? Tao of Healing Diet. I learned in his school, we don't really like to say diet, but people understand that word. Because listen to the word, it. Anyway, so the Tao of Healing Diet, Secrets of a Thin Body. The Tao of Sexology, that was my favorite subject, being a Scorpio. The Forgotten Food Diet, Herbology and Health, and the Tao of Management. Now, I got to get that one. We'll probably get into the Tao of Management when we talk about the business stuff. But those are the books that he wrote, and I told you he's a doctor and blah 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 blah. So he said if you practice Taoism, some generations, it might take a couple of generations. I think he said 7 generations down the line, the child will be born a genius. So what he has achieved, I think he's right. And not only that, one more thing, his great grandfather, I believe, or somebody up there, great great grandfather, was the last emperor of China's medical doctor. They made a movie about the last emperor, and the doctor in there was like, he had the smell of poo poo, and he don't eat no more meat and all that. I'm like, ugh, smell of poo poo? Really? I don't think I'm gonna go that far. I'll be like, boy, don't eat no more meat. You stink. Anyway, so let me read a little bit. So this is how the Tao, and I think on the last video I talked about the Tao Te Ching, which is the book of Tao, which is like the concept of the philosophy, and that was written by Lao Tzu. So let me read what he says about small government. Like I said, I think he was thinking about government and politics, all that in America becoming Taoist. Anyway, Lao Tzu insisted that the size of government be small. Well, maybe D Trump, maybe he is a Taoist kind of. He's firing every goddamn body. Anyway, the size of government should be small so that the power may be distributed in favor of the people. Donald and Musk is talking that. We're going to see what's going to happen to the people, but they talking that. Well, when I say people, I'm talking about my peoples. I don't know what's going to happen to anybody. Anyway, a big government deprives the people of freedom, and a strong government weakens the people. Wow. When power is placed in the hands of the government officials who will use this power to expand their own power, heavier taxes, huge government deficits, when you ain't got no teeth, it's red, deficits, where was that? Oh, and administrative inefficiency. Oh my God, I think Donald and Musk kind of read this part. And I just turned to it. I didn't plan this. I just turned to the small government part. That's the first. That's A. Like, you see the A? So where was I? This is deep because it's like everything I'm hearing on the internet from that. Anyway. Who will use this power to expand their own power, heavier taxes, huge government deficits, and administrative inefficiencies will only be a few of the many problems plaguing the country. Since the balance of power between the people and the government is inherently unbalanced, and power in the hands of government officials tends to expand unjustly, the freedom of the people is best secured by limiting the size of the government. I just read that. I didn't make that up. I just picked. I have the book up there, and I read this like years and years and years and years and years, and maybe a few more years ago. I picked it up and opened it. I swear to the Most High, and I don't swear. I just picked this up, and everything it just said is everything I've been hearing from Trump and Musk on the internet. Smaller government, inefficiencies, um, heavier taxes, blah, blah. Wow. Am I being a Dow arts guy? Am I a Trump guy now? Well, it all sounds good. Wait till all that shit come down to us. But it all sounds good. And it might be good for America. Anyway, so, and then, B is about the laws and regulations according to Lao Tzu, the writer of the Tao Te Ching. Let me read that right quick. Okay. According to Lao Tzu, laws and regulations breed evil. Laws and regulations, according to Lao Tzu, breed evil. Wow. St. Paul, well, he compares this, the great Tao, he talks a lot about the Bible, so he's probably a Christian Taoist, whereas I am a ancient Kemetic, or you might say Egyptian Taoist. Ooh, we're going to have to get into that. So St. Paul said almost the same thing, in quotes, while we were living in the flesh, our sinful passions arose by the law. If it had not been for laws, I should not have known sin. Wow, that's deep. So it goes on. It's a lot more stuff. So A is small government. Oh, you got it. He has the list right there. I'm gonna just go on the list and then I'm gonna move on. A is the size of government must be small. B, laws and regulations must be simple and few. C, policies must be honest. D, economic system must be fair. E, taxes must be low. F, population growth must be controlled. Birth control. G, individual freedom must be protected. So if you're an individual who wants to have a bunch of babies, but population control is controlled, there might be a conflict there. H, education must be a priority. Well, kind of is, but we have some of the stupidest people going through this stupid school system on the planet. Stupid shit they learn in school. George Washington had wooden teeth. Who the fuck cares? If it's a fucking truth anyway. Who cares? Can it buy me a apple? Anyway. I, military expenditures must be limited. J, the leader must voluntarily retire. So J goes into when the leader retires from being the president or the king or whatever. Excuse me. Smoking that herb. When they supposed to retire after a certain amount of time so that the new youngin' peoples might come in. But you see these countries where the leader is like, he been there like 100 years and he like this, kill everybody, The Tao don't like that, because now if you stay longer than you're supposed to stay, nature or the Tao will take your ass out. Believe that. So, when we talk about the Tao, these are the 8 trigrams or the Bagua, Pa Kwa, or 8 trigrams. So see, one of these is a trigram. See, 1, 2, 3 lines make tri. And the picture means gram. So what I was saying before, if you look at the whole thing around the yin, black, and the yang, white, it's a binary code. So it's not about believing in mustupakakaka. It's not about believing anything. This, which I'm going to talk about later, is directly is the same way DNA comes into existence. 64 when you put these together, you get a hexagram. 64 hexagrams, 64 codons make up DNA. Wait till I get to that part. But anyway, so what I did, now look at this book. This is what we had to learn. But now, like I said in here, he doesn't talk about meditation. He doesn't talk about qigong, breathing and stuff. I'm going to talk about those things because we're in this Kannabis Kung-Fu. I'm going to be talking about Tao alchemy, or the art of alchemy. And alchemy in Tao arts and sciences means the transformation of this physical body into a spiritual body, which basically means, in the new terms, is basically all you doing is these practices to raise the vibration of your body. But first you got to resonate, because say your bones, they have a slower resonate or a slower vibration than say your blood or something. So the first part, what we call healing, is to get the whole body to resonate at the same vibration. Once that happens, then you will start to rise. It's the same thing as water. When you put heat, we call it thought, under the sexual energy, we call it water. No, I'm sorry, we call it ice. The ice melts, it rises, becomes water, what we call water in the solar plexus, chi, and rises again to what we call the crystal palace, or the first eye, we call it, not the 1 and 2. These are the second and third eyes. This, in the pineal gland area, is the first eye. We call it the crystal palace. So, that's the basic of Taoist meditation, to raise the sexual energy. I'm not going to show my stuff. They call it Jing. Jing, ying, ying, jing, which means essence, or we just say sexual energy, but it's more, essence means more than that. It is all of you, your physical as well as your spiritual as well as your mental, combined into sperm or ovarian fluid, depending on if you're a woman or a man now. They have like 25 sexes now, so they all make sperm and ovarian fluid. Well, anyway, so now through breathing, like I said, breathing, or I should have said, breathing goes with meditation, and it's actually first thing you learn, but I talked about breathing already, so now I'm talking about meditation. But I'm going to talk about breathing a little deeper in the next video. But anyway, so breathing helps with meditation Because what happens is where we breathe that back into our lower abdomen, the lowest part next to your sexual organs is where your emotions are. Like, they call that the Dian Tien, just below the navel. That in Indian they call it a chakra. That Dian Tien is like your center of gravity. That's why we sink down low. If you play basketball, you sink before you shoot the ball. If you play baseball, you sink before you know, everybody sink. When you stand up straight, you be off balance. So anyway, in my book, the first part will be meditation and breathing together. So that I'm gonna get into that little dot thing right there. That's called Wu Chi. So when I talk about that, I'll go outside and actually show you what Wu Chi is, the breathing and the meditation, blah blah blah. So, well, I showed you the diagram. I told you what my teacher talks about, and he doesn't talk about Qigong. So the meditation that I added into my system, well, this is not going to be the cover. I'm going to make a better cover. But this is actually the first book. I have 3 systems of which I will be certifying people to be consultant instructors in. This was actually the first book, and this is the only one that's like typed up. I'm missing 2 parts. And this is my original book. I'm talking about 1990 something. I typed this up. So anyway, so in my book, see how much I made it thinner than my teacher's book, because he gets deep. He's like the herbology. You're supposed to learn herbology. That's a lifetime of learning by itself. So in my book, we just talk about tonic herbs, which is a lot simpler. So the whole idea behind either one is to practice all 8, because each one of the trigrams have a different practice. So the idea is to practice all 8. Make it your life. Like, this is my apartment, but you can also see it's also this is the studio back there, and all around here is what I practice. I'm sitting in my bed chamber right now, but it's all my spirituality stuff, my ancient Egyptian stuff. I have some videos down there on that part. So anyway, this is the book for the Art of Life, or Tao Life course. And the course, just like my teacher book, has 8 parts. The first part is meditation and breathing. So we separate breathing from internal exercise, because that's the second part, internal exercises. So by the time you get to internal exercises, you should already be breathing correctly and knowing basic Tao meditations. So the meditations that I incorporated comes from this book. Oh yeah, Taoist Yoga, deep. So as I was saying, this book is about the meditations and things that you go through to transform your physical body into a spiritual body. Now, I'm going to get into this. Where have you heard that before? In the Bible. In the Bible, instead of saying transformation, they say transmutation. This is when they talk about Jesus, because in the Bible, as far as I know, he's the only one that was supposed to transform and float off into space, into heaven, in front of other people. Now, there was a couple of other people in the Bible who walked with God. In other words, they did not leave a physical body. So, I didn't say. So, what I mean by transformation and changing this physical body into a spiritual body is that there is no physical death. I mean, like if somebody killed me before I get there, then I will be physically dead. But at this point, I'm kind of like getting there because there's a lot of things I'm looking at my body that's not happening, that's not supposed to be happening to an old man. And so the idea again is to practice these 8 things. What are the 8 things? The 8 things are, well, in my system, meditation with breathing, meditation and breathing, internal exercises. I'm not going to get into what they are. 5 phases of foods. Now, I try not to use the word diet in the book and everything. I'll probably say diet. Some people might say 5 elements, but then you get mixed up with the 5 elements, or the natural 5 elements: ether, air, water, fire, and earth. No, the 5 phases we're going to get into is the 5 elements. That's that diagram right there. So we got meditation and breathing, the internal exercises, 5 phases of foods. That's the kitchen. The kitchen has its own library, and that's deep by itself. And then there's herbology, which is also part of the kitchen. I'm going to get into all that. Herbology, and then after herbology, in my system, we're going to deal with acupressure, like the pressing of pressure points. We're not going to get into, like my teacher would have you try to get into, or have you get into acupuncture, getting the needles. Then you got to go to school to learn how the exact point to put those needles. Acupressure, it might take a little longer to move the energy and all that than acupuncture, but it does the same thing eventually. Press the point, learn how to press the points. And because us black people get ashy and stuff and we like to put on lotion, do it while you're putting on your lotion. Don't wait till you get sick and then, I need to press this point because I got a headache. No, do that shit while you're putting on your lotion. Just press. I'm going to show all that stuff. So we got meditation and breathing, internal exercises, 5 phases of foods, which is the 5 tastes: hot, sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. Tonic herbalism, because my teacher's book talk about herbalism. It's like, again, that's like a whole lifetime of study by itself. Herbalism, then acupressure, not acupuncture. If you get into those things, that's on you. But each one of those things takes a long time to learn. Acupressure is not really that hard to learn. Anyway, so acupressure, and then sexual kung fu. So from meditation and breathing, internal exercises, foods, herbs, and sexual kung fu, those 5 things are the 5 things that we need to do within our physical form. Now, the next 3 things are without the physical form. So after acupressure, wait a minute, am I forgetting one? That's 5, 6, 7, 8. So after acupressure, God dang it, I forgot. it's an order, but it's not really the order. You're supposed to be doing it all at the same time. So, God dag nabbit, I forgot the order. Let me look it up right quick, boy. What you talking about? Just look in the book, 'cause it's in the book, boy. What my teacher say here? Okay, I said meditation, then internal exercises, then five tastes of the foods, then tonic herbalism, and then acupressure, and then oh yeah, I was right. The Tao of sex wisdom. Ooh, sexual kung fu is like I said. We start out with the sexual energy. Even in Tai Chi, when you learn the Qi Gong, one of the first things you learn is to tighten the anus and let it loose. As you breathe in, you're tightening the anus. As you breathe out, so that's like the foundation of the sexual kung fu. But in my system, I also teach tongue fu. Ooh. So the idea is to transform the sexual energy, like I said, which is like ice, into water, which is the solar plexus. It rises in a cauldron, and we're going to talk about that. And then you keep it in that cauldron and keep that fire under the cauldron, and then it rises, it turns into steam. That's what I forgot. So from ice to water to steam is now the all three of your essences are one, like this. Just the microcosmic orbit, just the three essences. And then they start circulating in the microcosm orbit. We're going to get into all that. This is some deep stuff, man. This is not a joke. This is not, oh man, I'm just going to smoke me a joint, dude. We ain't talk about the alchemy of the marijuana yet. So, the seventh one, the sixth one was the sex wisdom. I don't even want to go into it right now. I'm just going through the list. So, the seventh one is the Tao of Mastery. So, there are several things, again, here under the Tao of Mastery, but in my system, we're going to focus on Feng Shui. You may have heard of it. It is all in English. It might be called directionology. So each of the 8 directions, north, south, east, and west, plus the 4 corners, north, east, north, southeast, northeast, southwest, northwest, whatever. All of them have a different energy. Again, each of them are represented by one of the trigrams again. So we learn to place our furniture in our homes and different things, or in our office, so that the energy is constantly flowing. You might put up mirrors or lights in the corner, different plants. This is feng shui. People pay a lot of money to these dudes just to know this stuff. Anyway, the eighth, which everything else is based on, is the study of the yi or e. That I up there actually is pronounced e or yi. Qing. This is the name of the temple, Yi Qing Dao Temple. So, the last one that we study is the whole 64 hexagrams. So now, once we make 8 upper hexagrams and then combine with 8 lower hexagrams, you get what is called a upper trigrams and lower trigrams. You get what's called a hexagram. Now, my Kung Fu system is based on as closely as I could, based on Tai Chi, as closely as I could, all 64 movements of my form are based on the 64 hexagrams. So it's like Tai Chi, but on steroids. Really, for real, for real. I call it, one of the names that I call it is the DNA changing fist. Whew, I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I think that's about it. I'm going to have this book for sale with the course. I'm going to talk about that because instead of joining this as a school, I'm going to ask people to join what I call the Art of Networking Health and Social Club, or Cannabis Health and Social Club. So I'll talk about that on its own video in like a minute. But before I give it up right quick, it's already 40 minutes. I'll be talking, man. Why I'll be talking so much? And I'm trying to get through it. I'm just talking about one thing. Look, I got a whole library right there to talk about. All this stuff is about the Tao. Any subject you can think of, it'll be like, oh yeah, here you go right here. And then all down here, see all that down there on the floor, even over here, and this is a whole nother subject. It's nothing but books, and each one of them books, like my book or my 3 books, I'm going to talk about each one of them little by little. That's the art of life. This is going to be a whole separate segment besides the Kung Fu, besides the Tao-nomics. That area over there is going to be talking about the Tao-nomics, the Tao, along with what I call Western wealth building strategies. Whew. So let me read from my book. God dag nabbit, for just right quick. So I have the introduction. Let me read from The Art of Life. That's what I call the system, Tao Life. That's my first system. So I'm going to talk about that first. Hamada. Introduction. The art of life, or Tao life, is the way of optimum health, wealth, and immortality. So the idea is that when you transform your physical body into a light, like sunlight, or spiritual body, you are an immortal now. Now, some people say we're going to live forever anyway, but this is different in the fact that you are supposed to transform this physical body so you can, the idea is that you can always re-manifest at will. Ooh, can you do that if you leave a physical body behind after death? Okay. The art of life is the way of optimum health, wealth, and immortality. Tao life is based on the 5,000-year-old art and science called Taoism. I don't really like to use the ism part, but it really means like just the study of it, the study of the way, or the Tao. Tao life, or the art of life, is not a belief system, but instead it is an art and science that must be practiced. When one practices Tao life, one experiences for one's self firsthand, I just had to reiterate that over and over again, the revitalizing effects as well as the regenerating effects on the mind, body, and spirit. I'm going to make this point every now and then. When we talk about this Tao arts and science, we're talking about spirit. I'm not going to explain the difference now, but on this side of the room is my soul power practices, or my practices for my soul, for my system of what y'all would call religion. So that's about it. That's like the opening, my opening passage to the book. Then I go into the actual what I was just talking about, all the meditation stuff and the breathing, and then one part I have to redo. Somehow I lost it. Is the internal exercises. Now I think I showed this already, but I wrote this down like many years ago. Many. So this is what it looks like now. So this has to be re-typed up. All this stuff takes money, which I don't have a lot of. It might look like it, but this took me like a year just to put piece by piece and go to the library and print out the pictures. Yeah, I spend all my money on this stuff. So, you know, this would be the third part of the book, and then this is the diagram that's up there on the wall of the 5 elements. That's when we talk about when we get into 5 elements, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but in this sense, we're going to just talk about the 5 tastes. So that's the diagram up that I keep pointing that up on the wall. So this is the book on the 5 phase diet, and then this is the book on the herbology, and then it's called Tui Na, the acupressure book. This is the book on the acupressure and the sexology, or sexual kung fu, we call it. This is the book on the sexual kung fu. And then this is the book on the feng shui. And then the other book that I lost, or actually I might have it somewhere in there, and because sometimes I take stuff apart and put it somewhere else. But this is some of the book of the I Ching. So this is kind of like that round. So again, I got to get into all these different things separately so I can explain it. Look, this took a dag near hour just to talk about the book. God, book, dag nabbit. Anyway, so that's it. That's my book. That's my teacher's book. And one more thing. When I said that Taoist alchemy and yoga meditation is, well, I think I explained that. What I mean by active meditation is like I said, you're going to be doing, it's a lot of visualizations of how energy moves in the body, how energy combines, blah, 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 blah. You know, seeing shining things in your brain and seeing, you actually make yourself pregnant. Even if you're a male, you make yourself, when you combine energy, you make yourself pregnant, then you let that little fetus, where did I hear that before? Let me see. In the Bible, fetuses and being born, and 3 treasures that we call the 3, what they call it, 3 treasures. We call it the 3 treasures. They call it the 3 gifts. Transformation is called transmutation. The Jesus story, I'm going to get into it. The Jesus story is a Taoist story. These things I'm doing is like little tiny free seminars. So, I'm getting it together. I'm going to talk about the art of networking, or Tao-Net, which is going to be our private members channel. And I'm going to talk about membership is only $8 a month. And we're going to be talking about all this stuff privately, and we're going to be having retreats and all that good stuff. So I'll talk about that separately. So that's it. If you want to check it out, because I'm not that brainy, Well, I had to do stuff like make it more thinner. I've known really smart and genius type people, so I'm like, wow, I'm not that brainy. I just know some information. But this dude is like these types of people is like geniuses type people. So if you want to get his book, if you want to, that's up to you. The Great Tao, as Dr. Stephen T. Chang. Now I'm gonna show you another book later on, right there, when we get to this end, by Stephen Chang. They have kind of like the same name, but in that book he talks about the Tao of voice. Ooh. So it's breathing exercises, but for singers. We talked about my book, The Art of Life. The Art of Life, and the subtitle is The Art of Life, Science of, wait a minute, what do I call it? The Art of Life, Science of Health and Beauty. No, I don't call it that. The Fountain of Youth and Beauty, Science of Immortality. That's it. I'll get it together. The Art of Life, or Tao Life. And what I just got finished saying. So, that's it. I'm out. I'll talk to y'all in the next video.